There isn't one.
No way! I can't believe this!
Our boy Sonic has gone on a multitude of adventures, and we still have no idea where the blue blur came from, or why he's so fast. I've combed all the lore from the games, and I can't find a single hint of a solid backstory for Sonic, which I believe it's intentional on Sega's part. Maybe it's not important to them, and it isn't crucial to have a happy-go-lucky character like Sonic care about his past. So I guess we'll leave it at that.
Psych!
We're going into all these shitty backstories, children. Yes, I'm covering every Sonic origin story from all those other pieces of media, the comics, the cartoon, the movie. Let's break these down and see if we can find a hint of similarities between them, or if they all sound like fanfic. I'm the Mentok, the Prophet, YouTube's savior, and without further ado, let's head back in time. We'll start this rabbit hole back in 1991 with the release of the very first Sonic the Hedgehog game. Sega of Japan and Sega of America were free to promote the brand new mascot separately. I've covered the story from the Japanese manuals in the Sonic Timeline Part 1, so feel free to go back and check that one out. It was a simple story of a hedgehog saving the world from an evil scientist who sought out powerful gems called the Chaos Emeralds. Case closed, right? Well, Sega of America decided to come up with something a little more complex, drafting a document with their concepts of the Sonic universe. These documents are popular in the Sonic community and have come to be known as the Sonic Bible. It details the story of Sonny Hedgehog, raised in Hardley, Nebraska with his mother and 5 sisters. His father, on the other hand, died a gruesome death in a vat of toxic waste while Sonny was a young age. Already this plot is dark. On a lighter note, it details his interactions with the townsfolk and his small town living. As a quick aside, I can only speculate that the creators of the Sonic movie gathered some inspiration from this Bible, as Sonic growing up in a small town in the US seems too spot on to be a coincidence. Anyway, during one of his escapades, Sonny accidentally stumbles into the laboratory of Dr. Ovi Kintobor, who takes a fascination in the young hedgehog. After spending some time together, they become fast friends, no pun intended. And yeah, you can probably see where this is going. Kintobor spends his days looking for special emeralds for his research, working hard to save the planet and rescue any poisoned or struggling animals he discovers during his excavations. Sonny begins working as his assistant, performing all tasks at top speed, gradually being able to reach the speed of sound, leading Kintobor to rename the hedgehog Sonic, for obvious reasons. Sonic's body turns blue after spending so much time running at the speed of sound, so that makes sense to me. So as they spend more time together, Kintobor tells Sonic that he's collecting the Chaos Emeralds to stabilize all the evil in the world by using his reverse quantum bioformulator. Are you guys still with me?
Wake up!
Yes, sir.
Wake up!
Yes, sir.
So for this to work, you have to stabilize the Chaos Emeralds so there'll be no more evil and pollution in the world. Then you launch them into space to get rid of said evil forever. If this process backfires, it could double the amount of evil in the world. So of course, everything goes wrong. A radiation leak in Kintobor's lab causes him to panic and disturb the reverse quantum bioformulator, say that 5 times fast, which casts beams on him, a semi-rotten egg on his counter, and the emeralds. This very specific accident turns the good Dr. Kintobor into a nefarious egg-shaped mad scientist, Dr. Ivor Robotnik. This has Sonic race out of the lab at the speed of light, leaving behind both the new evil doctor and several animals that Robotnik would soon use to power his robots. So wow, that's a lot to unpack, right? Sega of America more or less abandoned this whole plot, but that backstory would serve as the basis for 2 other publications. The first was a promotional comic that was published around the release of the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. This promo comic would be included in several magazines, where they ultimately dropped the entire Sonny Hedgehog and Nebraska idea.
Good!
But they stuck with the relationship between Sonic and Kintobor before the tragic accident. The second publication would be the Sonic Fleetway comics, a British comic series that ran from 1993 to 2002. The Fleetway comics was known for taking certain creative liberties with the Sonic universe, but they would use the Kintobor origin story as well, adding a few details, such as Dr. Kintobor giving Sonic his trademark shoes that were impervious to friction burn, allowing him to reach supersonic speeds. They would further expand this origin story by having the accident orchestrated by a Sonic from the future, who is trying to ensure that Robotnik exists in his timeline so that he could use his evil brain power to save the world from a greater threat.
What a twist!
You know, I actually kind of like that twist. Anyway, so I think we got the most complicated origin story out of the way, so let's move on to the cartoons that used to air back in the 1990s. The most popular at the time is aptly named Sonic the Hedgehog, better known as SatAM to most Sonic fans since it ran on Saturday mornings. Running for 2 seasons between 1993 and 1994, it took a darker, more serious approach with the Sonic franchise, revolving around Sonic and his friends becoming literal freedom fighters that resisted against Dr. Julian Robotnik, who already ruled over their kingdom. And this design is quite horrifying in my opinion. This plotline would be based on concepts from the Archie Sonic comics that debuted in 1992, which in all honesty I'm a little too intimidated to cover in this video, but my day of reckoning is coming as a Sonic YouTuber.
I'm straight. Stay tuned.
The cartoon version of our boy is raised by Sir Charles Hedgehog, aka Uncle Chuck, in the kingdom of Mobotropolis. As a young hedgehog, Sonic makes friends with Sally Acorn, a squirrel, who is the princess of the kingdom, and they become fast friends. Again, no pun intended.
Man, shut your bitch ass.
A few years later, Dr. Robotnik will execute his takeover and usurp the king, transforming Mobotropolis into Robotropolis. Clever Doctor. This takeover causes a majority of the population to be turned to robots, while Sonic and a bunch of other children, Sally included, managed to escape to Knothole Village, where they would become the Freedom Fighters, who are destined to push back against Robotnik's rule. A little off topic, but I believe the plotline to this show had a lot of potential. This probably served as inspiration to the plot of Sonic Forces as well, where Sonic and his friends have to defeat Eggman after his global takeover. Though I give it a 6 out of 10 for story execution, maybe I'll make a separate video on Sonic Forces in the long run. There would be another Sonic cartoon that ran in the 90s, Sonic Underground, which took place in a separate universe to SatAM, but carried similar elements. In this universe, Sonic is the son of Queen Alina, who is the ruler of Mobius. She is overthrown by this world's version of Dr. Robotnik, and is forced to give her children up to different families to avoid them being pursued by the Doctor. Sonic is later joined in this series by his sister Sonia and brother Manic, who go on a relentless search for their mother while being hunted down by Dr. Robotnik and his minions, Sleet and Dingo. A prophecy foretells that once all 4 are reunited, they would work together to end Robotnik's rule once and for all. This prophecy is wrong, since the show was cancelled before they could even find their mother. False prophets out here telling lies, man. Beware of these people. So this origin story for Sonic is rather interesting to me, since not only does it put him in a position of royalty, he also has siblings, which we don't see make an appearance in any other Sonic media, except the Archie comics, which we're not covering in this video. Right, let's move on. Another Sonic cartoon known as The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was running in the early 90s, which starred Sonic and Tails in their lighthearted escapades to thwart Robotnik's evil plans. There's no real origin story to discuss here, but I figure since I mentioned the other cartoons, I might as well mention the existence of this one. So fun fact, Sally Acorn makes an appearance as Sonic's girlfriend in a Christmas episode of this show. I don't see this mentioned too much, so hopefully you can take that fact away and do something with it in your mundane lives. The final Sonic cartoon I'll cover is Sonic X, a Japanese anime that debuted in April 2003. This is where the whole "gotta go fast" meme came from, by the way, if you weren't aware. In the Sonic X universe, Sonic and his friends are battling with Dr. Eggman, and due to his manipulation of the Chaos Emeralds, are wrapped up in an accident that sends them to planet Earth. Here, Sonic is taken in by the Thorndikes, a very well-off family that help them adapt to life on Earth, while Sonic continues to stop Dr. Eggman's plans and find a way home. While Sonic doesn't have an established origin story in this series, the lore is heavily based off the Sonic Adventure games that were released shortly before this. This included 2 major arcs that were adaptations of the events of both Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. So I want to throw in a theory of mine into the mix, which requires some knowledge of the Sonic Adventure 2 plot to follow. If you're not well versed on that, I recommend checking out part 2 of my Sonic timeline, where I go over those events. No machines, no gods, just him and his gun and a bot. Because I'm pretty sure I explain it like no one else really does. There's a scene in episode 37, Robotnik's Revenge, where 2 human characters are interviewing the ex-gun soldier who gunned down Maria Robotnik on the Space Colony arc 50 years prior. The soldier reminisces on Maria's last moments, where he is commanding her to take her hands off a lever, one that ultimately releases Shadow the Hedgehog into space and towards Earth in an attempt to save his life. She is shot by the soldier, who mistakes this as an act of aggression, and while this event is somewhat similar to the games, the anime makes a strange emphasis on showing 2 capsules falling to Earth instead of 1, in multiple shots, mind you. I always believed the writers wanted to hint that there were 2 experiments on the space colony Ark that Maria attempted to save. Shadow, the ultimate life form, and perhaps Sonic? Another prototype or later version of Dr. Gerald Robotnik's experiments? It would have been a nice twist if the show somehow went with this theory, and I wanted to include it as a possible origin story for Sonic, even though I have 0 evidence to back up this claim. It's pretty nice to think about, right? Last but not least, we have the newest origin story in the Sonic universe, the Sonic movie backstory. And as a heads up, this segment will include spoilers for the Sonic movie. I consider this movie to be a separate continuity, and while the origins of Sonic aren't completely fleshed out yet, there are some interesting inclusions in his backstory. Sonic is shown as a baby on a distant planet with mysterious powers that allow him to reach supersonic speeds. These powers are sought after by a clandestine tribe, which are definitely echidnas by the way. I'm super curious to see where they're going to take this in the sequel. His mother figure in the movie is an owl named Longclaw, who we don't see in any other form of Sonic media except the Archie comics. Just kidding, she's not in those either. Thank God. Once the Echidna tribe tracks them down, Longclaw gives Sonic a bag of rings that allows him to take portals to other worlds, and thus he escapes to Earth at a very young age. From there, the movie continues with him living in isolation and observing the townsfolk of the small town of Green Hills, Montana. See, we've come full circle. It may not be hardly Nebraska, but it's got the same energy. And after the events of the movie, there's an ending credit scene with Tails arriving on Earth through a similar ring portal searching for Sonic. Now, assuming Tails came from the same world as Sonic, does time move faster in that world than on Earth? Tails isn't mentioned at all by Sonic in the movie, so I'm assuming they've never met before. So if they return to Sonic's world in the next movie, will crazy amount of time have passed, leading into a plotline with Knuckles being a descendant of that Echidna tribe? Who sent Tails to find Sonic in the first place? Was it Longclaw? Did Chief survive her encounter with the Echidnas? Is Tails there to have Sonic help with some other kind of threat? While I love the Sonic movie introduced the dynamic and rivalry between Sonic and Eggman, I am more intrigued by the possible plot lines of the sequel and how it may wrap up the ongoing questions of Sonic's origin. So look forward to April 2022, my children.
Get a load of this!
So we've covered a lot of Sonic lore today, and it's made me realize that I haven't talked a lot about Sonic media outside the games very much. So be sure to give the video some love with a like or comment if there are some unexplored Sonic topics you'd like me to cover, or other game series in a similar format. It wouldn't be a proper YouTube video if I didn't remind you to do these things anyway. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. As always, be safe. The Prophet has spoken.